Hello
Hey.
and welcome to Pisslo episode 14. I'm here with Collat with the Kaiser picture, Galaxybear with the
Yo.
bear in space. We got Hooyah with the Team Blackhawk GIF, uh, and the Pixie with the thumb. And my name is Jepman.
Hey, I thought Galaxybear's picture was a dog. Jeez.
It's not.
Oh.
I have been told that it was a dog in space, but apparently that's incorrect.
That's fair.
All right. Well, Hooyah, it's your first time on the podcast, so did you want to give a quick introduction of yourself?
Yeah, no problem. So I started the Team Blackhawk org with Brenny earlier this year, coming out of one of the old Ocelots groups and getting our own feet as we discovered we didn't want to be a part of, a smaller org. So wanted to make something pretty big, and we're sort of on that track at the moment. Sort of have iron to gold teams and sort of playing with BSV and now in the circuit. Currently first place thanks to a couple of handy DQs, so sitting pretty well. So I'm the support player and captain, so usually handle some of the draft and things like that. Probably going to cop a lot of shit in the chat from my guys watching, but it's to be expected.
Yeah, well, you guys have done pretty well for yourselves so far, being a new org.
I think we're at 3 or 4 BSV wins so far, at a 50% hit rate for the first place, and the other 50% is probably first round knockout. Just depends on which version of us show up, I think, is the way to look at it.
Yeah, it is like that sometimes, but you guys are undoubtedly like a top iron to gold or Div 3 team. I'd say, at least.
Oh yeah, for sure. They definitely are.
Alright, well, before we go into the games this week, did you have any questions about Blackhawk? Anyone?
Yeah, I did. Had a couple.
Go ahead.
So like, what sort of like prompted you guys to like, aside from when you mentioned that you want to sort of start something a bit bigger, would you be able to give any more like detail on that? What was there like something Ocelots were doing that you guys wanted to sort of do differently, or is it just like you guys wanted to sort of do your own thing? Like
I
be
think
your
I
own group?
think I think Brenny and I were longtime duo partners, and that point where you play 300 or 400 games of solo queue in a row, and you hover around a certain elo, and it's like, okay, so like the LP grind doesn't really do much. So then we started, getting into BSV just as free agents, trying to make our names for ourselves as a bot lane. And then, over time, we were sort of a bit frustrated with, I guess, the lack of professionalism. Like when you play a tournament like this or tournaments like this, you want a certain amount of, I guess, like you're trying to recreate, I guess, the feeling of being a pro player, despite obviously having quite a big skill gap. The way I look at it is like if you're doing like VFL or like lower div football versus playing the big league. So we're still doing the same thing, playing the same game, but just on a different level. So I really enjoy the professional aspect, going over draft and trying to outplay people of a similar skill level with the different aspects you can have in the game. So that's what we try and build. So a lot of our game comes around that, and Brenny and I just wanted more control. When you join an existing org that's stuck in its ways, there's only so much room for growth. Whereas if you start something new, the limit is how much effort you want to put in. And I guess that shows how we've come to be a stable team that can handle these longer form tournaments because we've built something that can last.
Yeah, completely agree with that. Do you guys think you'll try to expand into more teams, or like are you actively recruiting, or is it just if people come to you maybe wanting to join?
I think there's a couple of different ways we could go with it. The scene has room for growth, so we could definitely get bigger and get more people and put more effort in. But I guess we've just got to see what happens with the orgs that do the tournaments and see what they're planning to do, because that'll be a basis of, I guess, of what's available out there, what tournaments are on, are they weekly, monthly, so on. We could probably get into that later. But I guess what's available will be a big deal. Brady and I have got goals of maybe being less about a team and more about a community. Like I'm probably not going to play competitive, every single, like a circuit or every week in BSV, but I definitely want to be involved in this kind of thing. So we were probably thinking about making like a branch off of the main team where it's just a community Discord that other teams can hang out in. So we're going to call it like the Nest or something like that. So you come in, host your team. We make logos and stuff for you, help set you up. We'll be scrum partners for you because we've got everything already existing, and then kind of use that to cultivate someone else's team. But we wouldn't necessarily be in the hierarchy of that team or make roster decisions or have to deal with any of the upkeep of keeping 5 or 6, 7 players together, because that can be quite a big job, as you guys would know. Just trying to keep a stable roster in itself is probably harder than getting people that are good at the game. You can pick up anyone within our div that can be half decent, but will they show up? Will they practice and put the effort in? So that's sort of why we put our own org together, is so we can control a lot of that, surround ourselves with people that have got the same sort of goals.
Yeah, so what's feeling when you try to play with a team and it's just not everyone puts in the same level of effort, and not everyone has the same expectations? When you're in control of it, that can really help.
Yeah, expectations are a big one. Everyone's got to be on the same page, otherwise it just causes tension.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say, like, well done to you. Not everyone has the mental fortitude and aptitude to just start something like this. I mean, a lot of people do it, and we do see a lot of orgs jump up here and there, but not a lot of them stick around. Not a lot of them do well. Not a lot of them have bigger aspirations as such as well. And for the few people who
everyone
do
could
it and
pop
get
up.
it done well and stick around for a little bit, those are no, I certainly couldn't do it. I couldn't even fucking try if I wanted to. It's just too stressful. So I'm gonna commend you for that, at least.
Yeah, we're still sort of early on. We don't really know the direction that it will head in, but
Yeah,
at this point
even to take on a task like this is pretty impressive.
yeah, if you're going to do something, you might as well do it well, I guess.
Exactly.
We spend a lot of our time, or anyone does really, playing the game and learning about it, whether it be doing VOD review or watching pro play or simply just getting around the community. It takes a lot of effort to be engaged. So if I'm going to go to the effort to try and be good, we might as well put the extra, and sort of bring it together.
Yeah, and then that also gives you a space to bring other like-minded individuals in, do it together.
Yeah, we got a couple.
Sorry, you go first.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I was gonna say, I just had a couple more questions. So you guys sort of formed after leaving Ocelots with yourself and Brenny, right?
That's it.
How did you guys go about filling out your roster with Blackhawk? Did you have to actively recruit, or were they just mates of yours?
Yeah, we definitely started as a 2-man roster. Luckily, we were duo bot at the time, which is a really good start, because it's very, very hard to find, I guess, bot lanes that are good together and are self-sufficient. And then it's even harder to find a support. So I'm lucky enough that I was already sort of playing that role, quite extensively, and I'm quite confident in that position. So, because having fill supports, it's a really good team can overcome that, but having a really good foundation in that regard has been helpful. And we don't swap our players out a lot as well. So we sort of started with getting, I think, one of our first players was Hackett in, and then he brought us Zalicus, so that we had 4-man, and then we got a top laner who was actually partners with someone on our second team, and then we sort of had our starting 5. So Team Blackhawk's humble beginnings started with Gats, Zalicus, and Explicit in the jungle, and then we had Hackett in the mid lane. So once we got a roster that could play and sort of get on the park and start moving through, we then, you go through your honeymoon phase, you win a couple of games and you think you're really good, and then, you get the shit kicked out of you a couple of times and you start to see where the weaknesses are, where the mental's at, who's really in it. And I think for past members that are no longer with us, great people, but it's usually come down to whether or not they're able to match the intensity of the team, the passion that we've all got for the game. We're, I wouldn't say aggressive, but certainly quite assertive in discussion. We don't really let things slide and we've got high expectations of each other. And like I personally get quite frustrated when things aren't going well. Like you can take a loss on the chin if you played well, but if it all didn't go so well, it can hit pretty hard because you put a lot of effort in. So it's kind of where we started, and then each member kind of got sort of moved around until we found the right mix, which I think is sort of the most stable roster we've got at the moment is the one we have now. Which I'm obviously quite happy with because we're up there amongst it. So
Finding a group of people that mesh well with their personalities is like a really key part of it. I think like we learned a lot about it on Lo-Fi. After a while, we figured out that like okay, certain people just don't work well with each other. Not because they like dislike each other, but they just have. Some people are very opinionated. Some people lack opinions, and some people like need a similar-minded people. So like if you're able to find 5 people with a likeness and personality and of similar opinions, I'm not saying you have to agree on everything as well. Obviously, discussion promotes growth and disagreements to a certain degree, but like finding people who can work well with each other within the parameters of a team environment is not an easy thing, to say the least.
yeah, it's interesting too when you're sort of in charge. So Brenny and I usually make most of the decisions in terms of the roster and where we want to see things go. So it can be really hard, when you've got discourse between 2 or 3 team members and Brenny and I are either involved or not. And we're sort of looking at these 2 people and which one of these pieces is going to bring us success, which one is going to be better to play with in the future. Like, what are we betting on here in terms of, if we kick player A so that player B is happy, is that a good move? And these are the things you've always got to weigh up. Because we've had to make moves like that before to keep a player that we want to keep. Other players might have to be moved on due to that natural synergy. No personal stuff. It's just those 2 players weren't compatible. A lot of the people that are playing in this scene, although might only be like, plat or gold, have been around since, season 2 or 3. They've got ingrained habits. Those aren't really changing no matter how much VOD review you do. There's like really ingrained play patterns. So when you can't overcome them, sometimes you've got to make tough decisions, which is another part of it.
Yeah.
So, what is your roster at the moment? Because earlier Envy said that Brenny was mid, but when we ran into you guys in Flex the other day, you guys had Craze mid, and I think Craze has been mid for a while, right? So did Brenny roll swap from AD carry to mid and then like take a step back from the team?
So I guess we can go through where we're at the moment. The good news is there's no one that's off the team. We're very dynamic in the way that we play, and as a group of probably 6 or 7 people, we could field any of them in almost a few different roles, and I think we would be of a similar level. At the moment, with patch changes, different champion pools, we're just playing with the mix to see what we've got, to ramp up towards those finals to be the best team we can possibly be. And that, in the next 2 weeks, that might not be, Brenny mid, it might be Craze. We don't really know. We had a bit of a time where Craze went on holidays for the mid part of the circuit. So we put Brenny back mid and sort of played around with that for a while and actually had some good success. And Craze is back now. So we're just seeing if the older roster is better or the new one. So we've just got to let it play out and see where it matches. So top lane's pretty much locked. Willie is our full-time top laner, and he's been very solid in his role. We have Dopa, who's our or Big Deck Energy is his username. He's there to sub if we ever need someone or shifts or something come up in the way. Zally has been a staple in our jungle and a key part of the team for quite a while now. And Brenny's honestly just happy to play his role. He'll play any position we need to. AD carry, mid, jungle. He's rated the 7th best top laner according to everyone's tier lists from that 1 week that he played top because Willie had work. It's just something where the people that we've got in the org are just happy to do their role. So at the moment, we've got Juice in the AD carry role. So he's taking over from Intori. Intori was great on the team, but unfortunately just is unable to commit to the amount of time required at the moment. So he's still a part of the org and still hangs around, sometimes like a bad smell, but he's probably going to be spamming the Twitch chat for the rest of the evening, I dare say. But yeah, we'll be running Juice for the foreseeable future.
It's good that you're really flexible because like everyone does still have lives outside of this, and extenuating circumstances can stop people from playing and stuff. Like emergencies happen, you get asked to fill in an extra shift at work. It's really good that you're able to just like kind of slot and swap out people like pieces of a machine, and it still perform. It's not a small thing.
Yeah, it's definitely a part of our success because I don't think we've been the strongest team, throughout what are we at, like 7 weeks or something into this, and then maybe 4 or 5 weeks of I2G before that. The whole time, there've definitely been slumps. You guys have run into, or like the Weekend Boys have run into us in flex and scrims a couple of times and caught a couple of our off days. But overall, I think we are consistent in the sense that we'll never get DQ'd, in terms of not having players to play. We can get a roster that'll be competitive at this level, no matter who's got work or what's going on. So I think that's a really big deal because there are other teams that, can't even keep 5 people together for more than 3 weeks, let alone deal with, an 8 to 10 week sort of playoff.
Yeah, and I mean a first round loss doesn't necessarily mean that you're like not competitive. The game can still be a competitive like game, and you can still get the first round loss, which a lot of people seem to just look at like, oh yeah, you got knocked out first round. It's like, well, it doesn't mean it wasn't a close game.
Yeah, there's definitely matchups that'll be a lot more decisive, and the team that might end up 5th or 6th might be the 3rd best team.
Yeah.
Which if we go into standings and stuff later, we can probably
They
get
just
into.
played the first
but
best team first.
yeah, it can get a little bit like that. But yeah, we only lost 2 games. One of them was an absolute banger versus the Storm Wolves that caused them to completely implode and blow up their roster. We ended up winning, but we out macroed them for a good 30 minutes, and the comms from their game that got leaked were quite spicy. So it's good to see we were putting the pressure on, even though we didn't get the W. We managed to put it on them. So, and the other one was,
I want to see.
Oh,
this.
was that the one that Envy streamed? Was that
yeah, I
you
think it
guys?
was something about Shuri. So I think bit of discourse there, but yeah, it was interesting to be on the other side. I guess you don't get to hear the enemy team's comms too often, so you're doing something good. But I think Shuri says it's not from that game, but I think it was one of the clips was definitely from our game. Whether or not it's the one that made the roster go boom, I don't know.
If you're pissing off your opponent, you must be doing something right.
But at least Shuri could probably admit we had him on the ropes there for a little bit with all the I think it was Elder Dragon, a couple of Barons, and 2 base towers went down before we ultimately lost to Greg's Vein. I think in the end won a team fight. So I think the other loss was like game 2, week 1, where we'd only really played a couple of times with the 5 that we had against Sapphire. So yeah, apart from that, we've been pretty solid.
Yeah, fair enough. I commend you guys on your flexibility with like your 7-man roster thing, because I don't know, with like our players' availability is limited as well, and we have a few people that we keep around as subs, but as someone that has had to at times someone has to make the decision who is being subbed out. Like you can't always have the subs play in every game when the main players are available, and I don't know, it's tough to tell like someone, hey, we don't need you today, sorry, when like they're wanting to play. So I commend you guys on your flexibility with that.
Yeah, I think our professional experience that Brenny and I bring for what we do for a living definitely helps, I guess, bring a bit of maturity when it comes to most of the in-game stuff on our side. Like there's definitely been moments where I've boiled over and caused drama and not been my best, but we've been able to repair that. I think Zali and I have gone 12 rounds from here and here over scuttle crabs and different things. But we always manage to make up and end up doing pretty good afterwards. So
if you don't mind, what do you guys do for a living?
So Brenny fixes Blackhawks professionally, which is where the name comes from. So we wanted to tie in some of that, and I was
cool.
a call center manager at a telco. So doing
Right.
internet and things like that. So working with people and hiring and firing and things like that. So
Yeah.
although you never get any joy from it, having those you're no longer on the team, or you're going to have to share your spot kind of conversations are things I'm familiar with, and hopefully I can bring a bit of that professionalism in, so that we're not hurting people more than you otherwise would if you were sort of pretty unprofessional about it.
Mm. Yeah, we like again another like fucking old lo-fi story, but like we've been like we tried the rotating roster. Johnny had this theory about, because he was the head coach of and the guy running everything. He had this theory of like all players can be like just pieces. All junglers. He wasn't saying this was true. He just wanted to experiment. That was the whole point of this. Was like, can players fit like a chess piece? Can you have the same team, take out one jungler, put in another jungler, because they have the same training and they're going through the same coaching? Can they fulfill the same role? And what we very I say quickly, I figured it out quickly, but it took like everyone and the coaching staff as a whole to figure it out. It took them a bit longer. But the answer is no. It's not. Usually. You can't play the same. You can because people, as I said before, have like differing personalities or conflicting opinions and whatnot, and playstyles are going to be different from player to player. But so it was a bigger issue when we had lots of rotating pieces constantly. We had about a 12 people roster or something. So not only did you have 2 people for each spot, at some points you had 3 junglers as well. You'd have to learn to play with everyone. I think it becomes a lot more manageable when you only do have the 6, 7, 8 people that you said, but it's still not the easiest thing to be able to rotate people in and out. But it's like making sure it's seen in a professional light and people aren't taking those rotations personally is a large part of what I think could bring that to be a successful practice.
Yeah, I think for us it comes from mostly Brenny, I would say. His ability to know where he's needed and to come in and fill his role wherever we need him. Like Craze comes back for a bit and it looks like Craze's champion pool is getting buffed, his is getting nerfed. What do we do about it? How do we approach that? Do we get Craze to teach Brenny Craze's champions? Do we put Craze in? And Brenny just goes, I'll go play RuneScape. You guys go in and you guys try that and see how it goes, and he'll watch our games and he wants to get in and sort of see the VOD and work out how we play and then give us feedback that way. So I think you can't do it unless you've got people that are selfless and willing to give up personal glory, because I'm sure Brenny loves getting on stream and gapping orphans on Silas, but at the end of the day he'll still do what's important and play anywhere he's needed. So I
he
think that's where
definitely
it comes
sounds
from.
like a very good. He definitely sounds like a very selfless, like multi-tool almost. Like he's willing to try and fit wherever he's needed, not so much what he wants, but
yeah, he'll never be.
He puts the team first. It sounds like.
Yeah, he'll never be like on the
Exactly
top
what
of
you want.
anyone's tier list consistently, at any of the roles.
Yeah.
But when we were doing a bit of a tier list, and we had a column that was like best swingman or flex player, and he was at the top of my list for that because I just know that I could trust him to learn, and he's just an absolute monster at the game when it comes to putting the work in. There's actually a funny story how the Silas came about. He's one of his signature champions now. He kept getting bored when learning new champions. So I suggested Silas to him because of that interaction where, you're almost playing a new champion every game. And I told him he can't play on the team until he's played 50 games of Silas in a row without playing a different champion. And I think he went to about 160 games or something before he really played anything else. So he definitely fell in love with the champ. And
Hey, wait till he hears about Viego.
yeah, he's actually played a bit of that as well. So it was good to see him sort of. I think he's played it already. Probably just not on any of the stream games. It can be hard to catch everyone's champ pools when only like half the games potentially are streamed.
Yeah, oh, look out, everyone! Blackhawk, betting on Viego.
Well, yeah, we can play it in 3 roles too. So that's the beauty of Viego. I think
It's
having it available
champion.
and just being able to put it wherever you want. You know, like they nerfed its lifesteal and it's still fucking busted. Like,
Oh man, don't get me started on it.
yeah, there's not enough champions that can to keep up with that. So yeah, that's pretty much you know, how we make the roster work, and where I think a lot of our successes come from.
That was basically all my questions. I was just yeah, mainly really curious how like the team sort of forms. Because like, I mean, I'm not very active in many of the discords, like in like the sort of tournament scene and stuff. But like to me, it sort of seems like they sort of like just like popped up out of nowhere, and then they started like doing really fucking well, and I was just like, holy shit, who are these guys? And so yeah, I was just really curious if maybe they were like a group of guys that had played together for a while, or if it was just like, yeah, they just had really good foundations and just like recruited everyone in and stuff like that. I don't know. It's just, I thought it was really cool how they like sort of remained consistent, both in the roster and performance. If anything, they're getting better, right?
We hope so.
You guys want to talk about the games that happened this week then?
Hell
So,
yeah.
Div 1, unfortunately, Weekend lost 2-0 to Ziz. Anyone have any thoughts on that game?
That was. I mean, you guys repeated what happened later on in the week. That's what I'm gonna say.
Well, yeah, alright. So,
They were very
Blue
similar.
got Camille and Fiora, which are like pretty decent carry champs, and like he's arguably the strongest player on that team, so he just gets to take over with that.
They do have that the new mid laner, which I'm pretty sure everyone knows.
Get back.
Yeah, get back. Yeah. What is it? What's his name at the
Bullfrog.
moment? Bullfrog
A
5.
Bullfrog 5.
Yeah. Like as soon as they got him, like you could definitely see a big improvement in their gameplay as well. Like you don't just need to rely on that top lane. You don't need to rely on Blue as that soul as what a consistent
As a solo
laner.
carry.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah,
like you
it's
have
no longer a
multiple threats
one-man
on the
team. They have another.
Yeah. So
Well,
it
I mean,
definitely improves them from where they were sitting after groups.
Yeah, I know a couple of people there. There's definitely there are a little bit of some solo queue terrorists there on that team, and they'd like just play a lot of the game. They don't particularly like they play together. They just play the game a lot, and they seem to be just like a little bit winging what's happening, which is quite disrespectful, but it's also interesting.
Yeah, well, Ziz
And,
have always been they've been at the top of like the
Yeah.
open div since they showed up in the scene, basically.
Yeah.
I haven't actually spoken to anyone from the Weekend main team, but I feel like when they found out that it was first third seed, they probably weren't too happy. I feel like they much would have preferred to verse the fourth seed, which was is it Desire? I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it must have been Desire. I think they would have preferred to verse them over Ziz.
Yo, the support for Ziz puts in fucking work, man. He just not only does he have like Ziz running around, he's got like I think it's two other teams that he's kind of put together of like also Masters-ish players, and he's running and playing scrims like constantly. Like I can't even hang out with the guy anymore because he's just too busy playing with all these other people. So like he's putting in fucking work to like get scrims around for everyone except for Ziz. They don't fucking scrim.
Yeah, I think you mentioned something about it was probably like after the last podcast that he was a bit disappointed that they don't scrim as much.
Oh yeah, he definitely wants to put in like more. He'd want them to scrim a lot more, but as I said, his team's a little bit of like solo queue terrorists. They kind of just fucking play. Alrighty.
Thank you, Chief.
Someone-
Okay, what about Div
Did
2?
he just call you on Skype
Yeah,
or
he
something?
just called me on fucking Discord.
I clicked the wrong button.
He's got like he actually called a group chat and oh
Yeah.
my god,
Bro.
stop. Now everyone's doing it. Okay, I'm gonna have to turn my
Oh,
phone off in
no.
a second. Div 2, TNS versus Resilience then.
It was the one I didn't get to check.
Was that the big stomp by TNS?
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
sort of a stomp.
that's-
Like, I don't know, I
All-
like
all
Resilience
three
because
games
I've known
stomped.
Jeremy for a while, and I was hoping that, like, he might be able to take over the game, but game 1, he played Morgana, which isn't really, like, a game takeover champion, and then game 2, he had the favorable matchup of, Trundle into Sedge, but it just seemed like he wasn't playing aggressive enough early. And
Yeah.
like mid lane, game 1 was what Cassidy versus Aurelia, and Cassidy got first blood. So that just makes his game a hell of a lot easier into like what should be a fucked matchup for him, I imagine.
yeah.
Like game 2, VG just gapped Tyran. It was really rough for Resilience. Does anyone else have any thoughts on that one?
I just think
No,
the
I didn't get to see that one.
TNS's bot lane
curious.
is just insane. Like watching them play is so fucking good. Iconic is an absolute monster. Like I've played with him in like a couple of for fun games when he's on the enemy team, and he'll just like fill support, and it's like such a sub gap, and I feel really bad. But the man's just got a really good understanding of the game, and like a lot of the people in my Discord were saying, he just has such a calm, like commanding way over like what to do. He just knows where to be. So I have no doubt, if he's not shot calling for their team, he's certainly, putting in his 2 cents and helping them out. They look really smooth. Once they get a lead, they kind of like ram it home pretty hard.
Man, I love watching other 80 carry short call.
Just seems like he can do, like he's so free to just like talk and do whatever he needs to because he's just 10 kills up every game.
Yeah.
Every game I've seen of him, he just gaps the enemy bot.
Yeah.
I'm watching it now. They're just fucking picking Set and Kaiser into Ezreal Braum without giving a fuck, and they're just winning. They're just it just looks like a gap.
Yeah, I'd say he's the best AD in Div 2 by far, probably.
Yeah, by a long margin. It's actually, with the way that the divs work, it's kind of surprising. I guess the rest of his team doesn't hit high enough to get the open Div 1, but I reckon he could probably kick it with some of the open if he had a team that was of that level.
Mm.
Probably. Because, well, Div 2, some players in Div 2 have played for, like, the Alpha Division teams before, and, like, they still perform fine. I definitely think that he could perform in the Div 1.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to look at which players are sitting at the top of their division and theorize, like, do you reckon this player could still perform admirably at the next div up? If he was still with, like, a somewhat okay team, would they learn quicker? Would they crumble? Because that's the way I learn best, is by just surrounding myself with, like, better people. Just my way of learning. But like, I really like looking at like even the Div 3 players. It's like, yeah, I reckon this person could fit in Div 2 and learn and adapt quickly. Or it's like, oh, nah, they just kind of enjoy shit stomping Div 3 too much to worry about it. But yeah.
Yeah, playing with the higher elo players is definitely. I agree. It's definitely a great way to learn. Like not just playing with them, but like playing against them.
Against them, yeah.
Like-
Like getting shit stomped like 5 times will make you better at the game.
Oh yeah, make or break.
Oh, yeah,
You might
100%.
just uninstall and go find a hobby that's a little bit less stressful on the brain, but
Yeah,
or you
one
might
of them.
be picking something up, you know.
Yeah, like the game is just faster paced, I feel, when you're in the higher elo games. Even if like nothing's happening, that's the thing, something is always happening. Like even if it's just the setup for the dragon, you're clearing wards. Ward clearing feels fast paced and intense and important. Whereas like there's much less downtime, there's much less wasted time.
Yeah.
You're constantly just like more vigilant. And I think it just like when you're surrounded by other people who are being more aware, who are constantly doing something, it reminds you that like, oh shit, I'm in the middle of this. Like, I need to pay attention as well.
Yeah, you can't autopilot in that
Yeah, yeah,
level. You otherwise you just go 0-10 like
yeah.
immediately.
Oh, 100%. And it definitely like your autopiloting gets better at the same time. Your autopiloting does like skill you up. So you could like probably autopilot and div in a lower tier and still do decently. That's the thing.
GG
When you
series.
play.
But yeah, it's you gotta there's sort of like the levels your like your min max. So like
Yeah.
I'm a gold player, so like if I play in silver, I can probably autopilot all the time and still get a
Yeah.
good win rate. If I'm in gold, I've got to half be paying attention to keep the rank that I'm at, and then if I want to play like I'm plat, then I've got to have the right people around me and be in the right like mental state and actually be applying all the things I know how to do, because I think a lot of the time,
Oh yeah.
in review, like I don't know, watching your own gameplay can feel like pulling teeth sometimes, because you're like, why is this idiot not doing it? Why aren't you warding right now? You saw him here, like, come on. And then in the game, I'm just like, spamming an emote in the bush, and it's like, what the fuck was I doing?
Yeah.
I'm always fighting
Very
the
true.
the inner retard of myself, trying to like actually stay focused. Because I think
Yeah.
when I'm shot calling and when I'm feeling good, I definitely put a lot of pressure on the game, and I don't care about if I die or as a support, I will trade my life for the 80 carries or for a push or for a plate or whatever. So I feel like when I'm playing well and paying attention, I can get a lot of advantages for other people. But I'm also quite prone to autopilot if someone's not going to snap it out, of me, which is why
Yeah.
playing with people like Zally is really good, because he'll just scream until we all start paying attention in like a good way. He'll be like, "Boys, we're not
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
down like this.
Yeah.
Where's the
Yeah.
vision? Dragons in a minute." Like, he sort of gets us back on track. So having
Yeah.
people like that to help you play to your best is really important.
Man, I'm such a troll, like 80 carry player when I'm shot calling as well, because like I'll die doing something really really dumb because I'm too busy on like trying to figure out the macro, because I'm very not good at doing both at the same time. But then I love being dead because it allows me to actually just watch the game and then be like, oh, this becomes really obvious now because I'm immediately divert all my attention. And I think it's actually really important for if you're the shot caller or if you're dead on a team, like don't just like unless something like a fight's happening right now, but like don't just be quiet. Start timing summoners that you know of, like update the timers, remind people of dragons, check wards, check like rotations, like
Asking
start
questions
preparing. Yeah,
is a
ask
big
questions.
thing. Make
Start
sure your team
preparing
is
for the next
thinking.
players. Yeah. Like
But
just because you're dead doesn't mean your job is stopped. It's like
if you
it means you
do
actually
want
have more to do. I
yeah,
think.
if you do want a champion that allows you to turn your brain off like you're dead, play Yumi.
Yumi. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yumi is
same
such
thing.
a shot calling Chad champion.
Jump on, go get a drink out of the fridge, come back, 80 carries dead, flame him, jump on the mid laner, easy done. Welcome to all of my solo queue adventures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have like just any of you guys actually? Do you guys have like a routine before you like want to start really focusing? Do you have like something you do in the morning before you start your like solo queue grind, or before you play a tournament? Do you do something specific, or do you just go in and autopilot? Like let's say you really wanted to grind. What do you do?
I genuinely go like have a shower. It doesn't matter, but like if I've had a shower in the morning, and then I'm like, I want to play some ranked, but I actually want to focus. I'll go
Yeah,
have a shower. I'll go actually like eat some decent food,
yeah,
and then I'll just like sit down and divert all my attention if I can, obviously. But
Yeah.
yeah, just like genuinely just feel good about myself, and then that translates usually to good gameplay because you are more confident in what you're doing.
Well, personally, I don't grind solo queue or anything, but like
We
for
fucking know.
all 20s, I don't really have a routine. I'm just a really competitive person, and I don't like losing. So like, I'm constantly talking like during champs. Like then we encourage each other to talk. Like we're going through our matchups and stuff, talking about our level 1, how we want to play the game as a team, etc. And just like, uh, I think like making people actively talk and actively listen to each other like improves the focus from the get-go, so no one's AFKing level 1 getting caught out by an invade or like yeah.
And there's the most troll thing is that like spending 10 seconds to walk out of base.
Well, yeah, like it happens all the time. Like even in
Yeah.
tournament games, people will autopilot level 1, they'll die to an invade, or yeah, they like forget to buy potions or
Yeah. I feel
Sometimes they forget
personally
to buy
attacked.
all their items.
But yeah, you should come in with a plan, and then you're focusing on executing that plan. So like, for
Yeah.
junglers, like you should know where you're pathing to, and like focus on clearing your camps as fast as possible to get to your destination as quick as possible. And yeah, it's just
and just like
something that a
letting
lot
your
of
team know like your premeditated plan going into the game as well. It's like super important. Like
Yeah.
if your plan is to like split the map topside and not be bot side, but then you don't tell your bot lane, that's kind of doomed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, food's definitely I like that. That's interesting. That's something I should probably try more often. I like roll out of bed, crack a Red Bull in the shower, and then like I get on. I do make sure like I don't have like other shit on my second monitor. Like normally I just like throw Twitter up there, look some dumb shit, like listen to music, watch YouTube video. But like if I really want to play properly, I will try and just like divert my pure attention to League and nothing but it. 'Cause I think a lot of people don't really realize how distracting like social media and just like looking at other things that aren't related can be.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, yeah, no, I'm pretty bad. I literally like in 5 minutes, I'll like the alarm will go off. I'll get up, grab Red Bull out the drawer, walk into the shower with it. Like I'll grab the
Right.
shampoo bottle, that I'll put that on. I'll grab the Red Bull, take a drink.
You're just a fucking madman, though. You don't even refrigerate your Red Bull. Like, what the fuck?
Raw
No.
dogging reality.
They're in my fucking. They're right here, man. In my.
Get this man a
Okay.
sponsorship.
Red Bull's like carbonated, right? So it's like a fizzy thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
It's really shit when it's hot.
It is, but okay, so
It
I live in the middle
tastes
of
like
nowhere.
ass.
It is 2 degrees outside, and my Red Bull is like cold in my hand, and it's just sitting in my drawer, and I've got the heater on. It's colder than my fucking Macca's Sprite right now.
That's actually a pretty good point. If I'm cold, I cannot fucking play this game.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
there is no hope. Like I don't want to go into like my backstory too much, but I used to live on this farm and I had a wood fire in my room, and like fixed wireless NBN just became available, and I convinced my dad to let me like install the dish on the roof, and then I ran an Ethernet cable to a desk that was on wheels, and I had to light the fire, and then I'd fucking pull the desk like closer and further away depending on how good the fire was going. And then if I ran out of firewood, it was like, oh, I can't play League now because my hands are too cold. Just had to go to bed. It's like the most scuffed growing up ever, but you know, to get League, you got to play. So
That sounds very similar to me. Like I was on the farm as well, same like NBN dish on the roof.
You guys had NBN?
yeah, I was
Shit.
actually so fucking lucky to get NBN. I lived on a creek, and there was like a clearing for the creek, so the fixed wireless hit directly to the tower, and I was the only person on like my whole road that could even get internet. It was like a pure, like absolute fluke.
Yeah, I wasn't able to get it till like 2015.
Yeah, this was like back in 2014. I'm like 25 now, so I'm on
Yeah.
Prem, living my good life now. So
Man, I was lucky to get like 100k down.
Wow.
Yeah, I was
The
on
good
Povo
days.
internet, dude.
Hey,
Like it was ADSL 2, but like it's so terrible that it'd be like as soon as anyone did anything on the internet, like didn't even have to be a video, like just trying to load a web page, it's just like kills the internet. And I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Alright, here's something for you. I'm pretty sure I'm the youngest, like by a little bit. I think Jep was saying he was pretty young, like, and I'm a couple years younger than him.
Oh, I wouldn't call me young. I'm like,
Okay, you're younger than these fucking.
I'm a
boomers.
quarter of a
This guy just said
century
he
in a
was
week.
25.
Quarter of a century in a week. Shit.
Joining the old man club.
Yeah, I
The old
guess.
man club. Yeah,
I'm the youngest
just
of
like
my
a-
team, at least, besides Maddie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was on dial-up internet till I was 12.
Yeah, boy.
2012 I was dial-up. We got some like tiny like USB dongle for 3 years. Which gave us, like,
Yes.
4 gigs of data.
How
4
good was that
gigs.
shit?
I would use that in like the first like 8 hours watching YouTube videos, and
Yeah.
it'd be gone. I'd have none for the rest of the month. And then 3 years later, I finally convinced parents to get a dish on the roof.
Yeah, low key, Brenny still plays with hotspot.
So do I. That's
our
all I play
country
with
is the
mobile.
one-
we
Well,
we
else is
just
internet.
see him like ally has disconnected.
That's
And
what we
then-
see, Jeff.
Ally has reconnected, and we're like, Brenny, do we pause? And he's like, it's like dead, and he's like, oh fuck, could be a little bit annoying, but you gotta deal with it. But I guess that just says, where we're at as a country with internet, that we all know what internet we had at specifically what age,
Yeah.
and all the trials and tribulations. So it's kind of interesting. I work at a telco now because I know all of my experiences with NBN and moving around and fucking lagging and share houses and all the crap actually makes me so much better at my job now because I understand what people are going through. And why they care about their internet, and why I'm so lucky to have good internet now. It's something I don't have to worry about.
Surely you
Yeah.
hook like Brady and I up with some NBN then.
Wait.
Yeah.
Well, stuck out in the middle of nowhere.
Brenny's got the best he can get. He's on a good deal. It's just that he's with his job. He moves around a lot, so a fixed internet connection isn't the go. But
True.
Yeah.
if you're ever moving house, I've got access to all the NBN stuff, so I can tell you what your up down time and stuff like that is. So
Okay.
if you need it, you want to know if you're getting prem or fucking shit to your internet when you move houses, the first thing I always do is get realestate.com up and then check all the systems.
Wow.
Speed test everyone's internet.
Fair enough. Yeah.
And be like,
Mate,
sorry guys,
I'm
can't
waiting
move
for
there.
Starlink.
It's actually I've heard really good reviews from what they've been able to do with it. Fucking good old Elon.
I think I can technically get it here now. It's just it'll take a couple of months.
Oh, it'd be giga expensive too, but you'd be
Oh
paying
yeah,
for.
no, I'm gonna pay out of my own pocket. It's like $1,000 to set it up, and then it's like $150 a month.
To be fair though, normal satellite through SkyMaster is still fucked for us. The average satellite plan is $90 for minimum, and it's still got that on peak, off peak download limit, and clouds and stuff will fuck it up. The Starlink will still get hit, but just the sheer amount of satellites is going to mean a lot more consistent connection. So it's super cool that he's getting into that because. There's so many people that'll benefit, with the size of our country and I guess other countries as well. Prem is just not achievable. We could barely get ADSL out to a fair portion of the country in its really remote areas. So it's cool to see someone's looking after the people. They're not making it cheap, but
I remember watching him announce it, and he said specifically Outback Australia. And I was ecstatic. I was like, "Oh my god, he's saving us finally!"
Yeah, Daddy Elon.
Yeah.
On the back of a Dogecoin coming in and saving all of the next generation Zoomers.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
Oh, Jeb, do you want to segue us into games in the Div 3 or something?
Yeah. Alright,
Yeah.
Div
Echo
3.
games.
Alright. Well, bro, I posted the screenshot of how the draft went for game 1 and 2, and there was a game 3 which was played off air. By the way, it was winner takes all. So I don't know. Game 1.
let's
What do you
talk
think
about
of the draft? I don't know. Anyone can chime in, I guess.
Their
Draft
draft.
is terrible.
What can I say? I mean, the answer to Gwen, there's not really an answer.
Oh, there's a couple.
Yeah, like there's
It ain't Quinn.
multiple questions that
It's not
you
Quinn.
raised. Yeah, I know. Like the
Yeah.
Quinn into Gwen is like a big one for me. Like being a top laner, that's what I focused on. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know about their fucking drafts, man. Maybe they need someone to come and help them.
What
I think
about
it's
our
good.
draft?
I think it's good you guys pick up the Gwen. I do remember hearing a little bit from your online stuff that you weren't comfortable on it early days, and we actually picked it up quite. Hey, you got to do it. You got to do what you got to do, man. It's team
Yeah,
game.
I know.
You got to pay this as a bitch. You got to pay this as a bitch. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But it's good to see you could pick it confidently, because I do think counter picking it is a bit of a trap. I think trying to pick a very niche pick that has these like absurd win cons, like Quinn can be great, but like what have you got to do to be relevant in a team game? It's so hard.
Oh yeah.
I think you've got to like match fire with fire. You just want to pick something she can't kill that'll scale well for the team, and just play non-interactive as much as you can. And she's going to be great late game. But like, I don't know, you got a lead and a couple of kills early, and then their Samira just decided to run it down into you and give you a shutdown, and it was like, oh, the Quinn pick ain't doing much if you're going to do that.
So like, there's a couple crackpot counters to like Gwen, such as like Master Yi top, lethality Graves in lane.
What's Master Yi top?
Mm.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Can the DGens get out of my lane, please?
Yeah, and I think was it Olaf? Isn't supposedly not terrible?
Yeah, like there's a few matchups. Yeah, I know, but there's like a couple of matchups that you see like coming out. Like the Kale was the OG that like wasn't really a counter. It was more or less like survive the lane and then you scale the same as her. Like,
yeah.
But like, yeah, there are picks out there that don't necessarily beat it in lane. Like you don't have to beat it in lane. You just have to survive against it. Really. In team
Graves
play.
definitely does.
Oh, Graves is fucking disgusting. I don't want to get into
Graves,
that.
Yeah.
I mean, counter picks aside, I think Gwen is just really overtuned still.
Yeah, she's blind pickable for sure. Yeah. I think if you can't play Gwen on this patch,
you ban it.
You've got to ban it, but you're probably fucked. Like you've just got to be able to play it. Like, and I think they made a huge mistake just indexing into that Gwen and doubling down on trying to get you manageable, and no one else could get a lead. You know, like they got a couple of kills on bot lane and just didn't play around it at all.
No.
I'm so disappointed. Because I remember watching it. Samira in this lane with a Nautilus is against Ashe and Akama. The rest of the map is all AP damage and a lot of slows. What item did she buy first? Fucking steel plates.
Yeah, boy.
It's like I physically repulsed in my chair watching that.
Yeah, Kerms's itemization is not always on point, but he gives it a red hot crack.
that one hurt me personally, but yeah, no, that bot lane's really the bot lane's really hard to. I'm really interested why they'd like. Wait, how does draft go? Yeah, they see the combo pick and they think they pick Nautilus as the answer.
Where did you chuck the draft, Jep?
Oh, it's in the topics chat.
Yeah, I'm interested in their thought process on that. They pick.
I reckon their bot lane and their jungler are the only things that make sense. So like it's not ideal, but you do have kill pressure depending on how the lanes are played out. Like no flame at all, but you had like your like extra support come in and play game one. And I think they got caught a couple of times, and there was actually like some momentum bot managed to get, but it was quite obvious that the only gold they were able to accrue was from your mistakes. They weren't actually able to use their comp to beat your comp. You just misplayed your comp in very small areas. They got a couple of kills, but like as soon as they actually had to interact with you as a group, you guys just slaughtered them in every fight. The comp was good. You were good on your champions. You knew what you were doing, and they just had Annie who didn't have a purpose that could actually do much. Quinn who wasn't ahead. and then almost a melee AD carry who has to scrap against a team that wants to bounce. So I just don't really see them getting out of that early game. Like, I think they weren't even that far behind early, if I'm not mistaken. It was the goal was pretty close, and there was a trading of kills, but just got to that point.
Yeah,
The team just didn't really seem to have like a cohesive theme. It's like, well, Nautilus, Samira, and Zinzao kind of want to go in and like take scrappy fights. Annie and Quinn kind of want to just like burst one champion. And it's a lot of like mixed ranges, and Samira wants a lot of like knock up CC to like move around and get her.
I mean,
like,
I like Xin into
I
Gwen.
enjoy in with the bot lane, but
But I think if you're gonna play Quinn, so like right now, you've used your first pick to put a really strong, champion on the map, and to sort of they've gone, okay, so we've got a plan against Gwen. We're gonna pick the Quinn.
Yeah.
But then Quinn wants to, as you say, split push. She wants to get on the side lane. She wants to roam and get around for plays. So why do you have no wave clear? Why can't you, like, how do the 3 or 4 people, so like as a support, I'm the one that gets left behind. I don't get to do any fancy split pushing. So I'm thinking from like the Samira and the Nautilus's point of view is I've got, Jep jumping in on the Zac. I've got Ash arrows to watch out for. Kali can move like no other and get into fights really quickly. How are they staying safe when you guys put the pressure on, especially with a lead? And Quinn's never gonna, the moment she fucked up in lane and Gwen had 3 or 4 kills, like the side lane was gone. Their team fight's not there. I think they're playing a comp that's super hard to execute, and they're not playing enough champions that are actually strong, making it hard for themselves in what was already probably going to be a pretty hard game.
Yeah, and then I think the second draft was better, I think. It's hard to say.
I really, I don't know. I'm not a fan of the second draft. I think I don't see what the Garen does at all.
Yeah, that's the one big giant, as well as I don't like Ahri as a pick because like there are better champions that do what she does kind of better.
Careful, man. Galaxy's in the group.
I mean, a lot of us play. Our team plays all the champs that their team picked besides the Garen, but Ahri's a generally safe pick. I don't think Zac's a good first pick.
Do you think they just buckled?
Yeah, that either.
I reckon they just buckled under the pressure that you guys smashed them game 1, and they were trying to take away a lot of the stuff you guys play. They're like, we have to get the Zac because we don't want to drop a ban. We've got to ban Gwen on this side. When you swap, I'm guessing you guys swap sides for this one.
Yeah.
When you swap sides and you've lost, and you have to ban something that was just played against you, you're immediately at a disadvantage. You've got to drop something. And they couldn't, so they're like, we've got to first pick the Zac. Otherwise, we're going to get fucked into it. And like Jep will play that. I'm assuming 7 out of 10 games, should be happy to take that as a sort of comfort pick.
I agree with the first 3 bans.
Yeah, they're definitely good.
I don't. Look, when Jiba picked the Akali game 1, or suggested the Akali game 1, honestly, I was like, are you sure there's no other champions you want to play here? Because
but what does Jiba play though?
He plays he'll play literally anything, but
what do you want him to play? My team also plays everything, but what I let them play, different story.
Yeah.
I don't remember what other champs he said he could have picked there, but when he picks Akali, it's
50-50.
Yeah, the meme is 0-10 Akali, and unfortunately that game he went 17-1. So I guess that's why they were scared of it, but
yeah, but I think they, as players, don't quite know what to do against an Akali. And I think that's evident by how game 1 turned out. So I think that's why I don't mind them banning it, because they themselves don't quite seem to know what the fuck are they going to do if Akali does get to be useful. So I'll give him a pass on banning Akali, even if it's not his best champion or not something that should be banned. It's I understand why they're doing it. Kindred and Gwen, I think, are given bans. Kindred against you guys specifically, because if it's open, you'll fucking play it.
I feel like if they can play Gwen, they should just pick it. or like pick
I
any
agree.
strong champion. Like don't
Yeah.
don't spend your first your first pick on blue side to take
Oh,
away a champ from the other team.
yeah.
Like
Sorry, I'm going into it assuming they can't play Gwen.
pick
which-
pick the Ziggs, pick an Ezreal, like pick
Yeah,
something
pick
strong.
even your own comfort. What's
Yeah.
who are you worried about? So like what I see in this draft is that their mid lane is not very strong, and they know, like, I guess from my scouting as well, we sort of treat G-Bear as like a good player but doesn't have a large pool of impactful champions. So we've got two options. We either ignore his champion pool and we worry about other players on the team and we deal with the Ari and other picks, or we take the Ari and then we ban the thing that he was good on and it forces him on to something else. It's interesting that you pick Ziggs early and they still wanted to ban Syndra in case it was like going to be flexed, but you ended up just picking Aphelios anyway.
Yeah, well, it is a
Stan would play
flex.
Ziggs.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would have been willing up until the last sort of pick to come through and actually move it if you need it. It's quite
Yeah.
strong in the
Yeah,
bot
because
lane.
we get to see which matchup. Like, we got to see both matchups be in red side, and then we can just put it wherever we prefer it.
Yeah, I think it might be a little bit unfair on these guys because like you guys do draft really well, and I think you just have a wider variety of champions to pick from, which is like the most helpful thing in drafting. So it's like they're already in a very tough situation in like what they think they can pick. So at this point, it's like, all right, cool. Ban the things that they think they will struggle with the most, that are the biggest impact problematic champions, and then just like pick their comforts that they won't lose on. I don't know if this dude like one trick Samira or something, but like
He plays
uh,
Caitlyn and Draven as well. There's probably
okay,
the other
what
two
is
in
I
his
think he
pool.
picked Samira all
Those are his
3
three
games.
no, he picked Yasuo in the game 3.
Ah, okay.
Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, maybe it's just a really unfortunate time for him because like all those champions are like in the bin. It's like really sad. But if that's the case, like I think Caitlyn's pickable. You got like I don't think no one's gonna ban it in this state or meta unless you're like a one trick. I think Draven's fine. They seem to want to play around bot lane. They're picking like Samira. That's a pretty potent champion. Like maybe commit to it, pick a Draven, try and like exert the bot pressure, give up top side a little bit, play weak there. Your mid lane is like you can also like kind of ban out G-Bear a bit, play the possible like rotating mid. Don't know if this guy plays it, but like alright, he's got Ari. Ari can roam decently enough. Other champions are like just like, pick the Galio or
You got to be confident though. Like if you want to pull out a Draven, you've got a timer to do
if
well.
you play Draven, you've got to be confident. So if he plays it, surely he's
But
confident.
it's got to come down to the support though. Like you can play the most aggressive AD carries in the world, but if your support
Oh,
can't
yeah.
help you push that limit,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
so the way I look at this, like when you got the Thresh picked, they've taken like the basic bitch solo Q counter, which is Morg, because of the obvious black shield, and like it's a decent pick. Like it's gonna do what it needs to do. But like if you're wanting to push the aggression in bot lane, there's so many other picks you could use to be like to skill check the Thresh player.
So
And
Karma's
say like
open,
how
yeah.
do we go through? And I think Karma is a very versatile
Karma
thing
shits
that'll
on Thresh.
yeah, she will, be able to play defensively if they fuck up early. She can put a couple more points in the shield and sort of play back and protect.
Yeah.
Or you can just be the
Offensively-
most annoying champion on the planet if you're confident to sidestep hooks. Thresh can't
And
do a lot.
Karma makes people so fast that it makes it impossible for Thresh to hit the hooks.
Yeah,
Like,
and as it sort of says in chat, like Shiny's like, if you're gonna play Morg, why not just play Caitlyn? Then you've got a really strong pushing lane
yeah,
where
that's what I
you
was
can push you guys back, force Jetman to come and like deal with that pressure, which probably frees up some of their solo lanes, which weren't doing so hot the last game, for
Yeah.
their jungler to help out.
It's like making an objective on the map. Having a strong lane that needs to be attended to makes an extra objective that the rest of the team has to deal with. That diverts resources from possibly the stronger parts of the map. If Jetman has to spend time going bot lane and dealing with a turret humping Caitlyn Morgana versus Aphelios Thresh, which I think Kate Morg win that. Aphelios is definitely like a lane dominant champion, but I think he like gets outclassed by Caitlyn at the fact she always has the sniper. Like, if you guys do make that a point of impact, then you can force Jetman down there, and then he doesn't get to be top all the time. He doesn't get to like help the not in this game, but in the other game where like he helped Gwen turn a fight and got Gwen so far ahead he didn't have to be there ever again. It's like draft lords need to draft for echo teams.
Yeah, it's definitely like that.
Yeah, Affiliates does have a hard time in the Caitlyn.
Also, another thing for him, I hope they're watching, but like not drafting two strong sides of the map.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, where's the jungler going? You're just going to confuse the shit out of him. He's going to get pulled around. There's no easy way to map this out, at all.
Yeah. And the jungle was really struggling to play the game into like Zach's just an abusable champion early, and
the Udyr was,
and Jep was being a pest.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, what makes it good for you guys
fucking
is
nuisance that game.
yeah, like how much you play it, Jep, comes a lot down to why Zach is good. Like it's a pocket pick, so you knowing what to do, its strengths and weaknesses, not over indexing the things that can get like ruined, makes it strong. Them taking it away from you, not knowing really how to move around it, and you having Thresh up that can cancel his jump and push him back, and having champions that can just push from afar and like not really engage. What can he really do? The impact is much, much lower. So I agree with our earlier points that you take something that's strong for the game state or for your players first, because ultimately the rest of your draft has to support your first couple of picks, especially on blue side. Otherwise, like, what are you doing?
I mean, it's eighth seed versus third seed, and I feel like we were very heavily favored to win that game, and like everyone's predicting an Alpha versus Blackhawk finals basically. I think they just like needed to come up with a plan before the game. Like they actually need to take time, like figure out exactly how they're going to play the draft and just stick with that. But it seemed like they were sort of all over the place.
We've got to give them some props that I think they were out of the tournament. They probably stopped playing together as much, and then they got the call up because of something else that happened that was outside of their control.
Yeah.
They probably knew what was coming, and they got up and played anyway, in front of people and gave it a shot. And like they played pretty aggressively and did try to to push some advantages where they could. But yeah, ultimately, I think the matchup went out as it would have.
Yeah, if the third game was streamed, it was a banger. It was better than the other two games combined by far. But like, I think it was. Dude, the game 3 was hilarious.
It was 2 minutes faster.
I respect this team though. Like they're new to the scene, and like they still wanted to play game 3 after like losing 2.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Like, and like, hey, like we reckon we've got you for a third one. Is a pretty good mentality to have.
Yeah, I respect it. I hope that they continue to play like these events.
I just hope they got something out of that game. I don't know what, but I hope they got something out of that game.
Yeah, it was an absolute fiesta.
But
yeah,
definitely hope they stick around because like they can be a good team. They seem like an alright group of people.
They seem pretty willing to like have fun and fuck around a bit, which is like a good mentality to have after going 0-2.
For the games for next week, it's Div 1 Weeknight Warriors versus Desire. Should be a good game. I hope.
Should be pretty close.
I hope Weeknight show up. I have faith in them.
So do I. Alright, Alex, if you're watching, don't int. Please.
True. Yeah, other than being told the stuff about Weeknight, I can't comment too much on the Alpha Division. But Gamma, or Div 2 or whatever it's called, Cerberus versus Error. It should be a good game. I've underrated like both of these teams in the past.
Yeah.
Who did we predict?
I've already put down my bets on Error making the run.
Okay, you reckon Error? Pixie said Cerberus.
Yeah.
I haven't actually said either of them because I did my prediction beforehand and said stop Asian hate. So looks like I was wrong.
Right, but like you can Whenever Riot does their like world predictions, you never make all of them at the start.
Oh, well,
So
yeah,
like,
the pick'ems, yeah, you do.
No, you don't.
No,
No.
he's talking about like the casters and shit,
Oh,
bro.
yeah, but
No,
like,
I mean the
pick'ems,
pick'ems as well.
pick'ems.
Like you get to like you don't make from
Oh
like
no,
play-ins
yeah,
all the way to finals. You
yes
get
you
to
do.
No,
No, but when it's playoffs, you do
once
it.
the players Okay, but once
Yeah.
the players in the playoffs are decided, then you make the playoff decisions.
Yeah, we
that's
did
what
it like that.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, look, yeah,
Oh,
I'm
I
gonna
thought you
agree
just
with
did it
Shuri
like
on this
that.
one. I think Cerberus can take it. Nothing against Era, maybe I'm just underrating them again, but like the Cerberus players, I don't know, I just like their personality. They seem like a good group of people.
Jep's about to get smacked.
True.
Yeah.
No, I want Era to win that one.
Lynch is the
actually.
second best AD in the league, apparently.
You think Era gonna take it?
I do, even if I want them to. I think they'll. I think it. If they lose, it's 2-1. If they
Okay.
win, it's 2-0.
Lynch, mate, you better fucking
Oh.
do me proud, mate.
It's Manu, or actually, I don't know who's playing for Era at the moment. I think Manu's the AD, right? And is Snocky still the support? I don't know. But, yeah, look, I'm gonna say Cerberus. Maybe Era having some roster issues, because when I was playing with Ghost in Clash the other day, he was like freaking out about someone quitting the team or something.
Oh, okay. Well,
Manu is AD and Snocky is support.
Okay. What about the Div 3 game then? We got Blackhawk versus Gogurt.
Oh,
well, I
Wait.
think
The
we're a
Go-Gets.
little biased here,
Oh, well, look,
perhaps.
Gogurt have a new look. They're taking over the OCE scene, and as you can see in their
they
recruitment
are?
posts. They've also recruited a new platinum player as their coach.
yeah.
I'm the one
It's
to
kind of
envy.
crazy.
It,
Yeah.
it
What
could
a segue.
improve their team, honestly. Envy is
Some
a decent
people-
player. He's good content for their org as well. No,
I
we'll see what happens.
I hope that
Hey,
some of
Envy,
the
if you want to
knowledge.
make roster changes, hit me up.
I do hope, like, Envy, like, all jokes aside, like, he is kind of like an okay player.
Yeah.
Like, he's not like outstanding, but he's not terrible at the game. Like, and I hope that baseline knowledge, hopefully he can like just like shore things up over there. Like, hopefully he does that for that team because I want to see him do well. I
Look,
want to see everyone do well.
I do want to see Envy do well, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I think this is his first time coaching, right? And
I think it's too soon for him to have made enough of an impact for it to show up in their gameplay.
Oh,
I think the best thing he can do is not remake the wheel here. He probably just needs to go in, have a look at what they're doing, and then just start conversations. Just make sure that what they're working on, and not necessarily like the worst thing a coach can do at our level is come in and try and fact check players. It's already hard enough in the pro scene for a pro player to listen to someone who's a lower division in league than them. You know, we see it in like the VODs and like the documentaries the teams make that like coaches sometimes get pushed out because they're not as good and players don't respect them. So coming in with like huge opinions probably won't fare too well, but coming in and just saying like, hey, why wouldn't you do that? And maybe like, you know, Envy's a bit abrasive and that can be a good thing. You know, I don't know the Go-Get players too well, but you know, if they're very quiet, but they can handle him, then he might actually encourage a lot more conversation.
yeah.
Or he could make the roster go boom. I don't know. Like it really depends on how he handles it and what side of Envy comes out for coaching. Is it the entertainer Envy or is it someone who wants to do well? And I guess
Yeah.
what parts of him, you know, I can be an absolute fucking meme lord or I can be switched on and try and win. So, you know,
Or is
trying
it
to find the right
dark
gear can be really important.
yeah,
for sure.
he's only got like a week before their semifinals game as well. So like, I think picking a few specific things and focusing on them rather than trying to like change champ pools, change play styles, improve macro. Like, I think just like get people to focus, think more about what they're doing in game, and maybe get them to start planning draft would be like 2 good steps. Like, it might not be super impactful, but it can definitely improve their performance by a little bit, and you're not getting too carried away trying to change everything at once.
As bad as it might sound, looking for possible like band-aid fixes just for the game, because you have very little time to actually work on a lot of stuff. If you like find like one egregious flaw in something, like, okay, these guys don't actually know how to set up for dragons properly, or they don't know how to like fight around Baron properly, right? If you
You
find
can
like
pick
one of
one
those,
thing.
yeah. If you find one of those issues, instead of like immediately trying to fix that issue, just get them to focus on not playing to that win condition. Get them a different win condition that they are already better at, just for this one game. Once you get past this, like, or okay, maybe not one game. Sorry. Like, get them past that game, and then if they win it, cool. Get them onto the next game. If they don't win it, it's like that's when you start attempting the. Basically, it's checking if people know their basics. It's just checking to make sure people know. Okay, so you should probably reset a minute and a half before the dragon to get your wards, get your items, place your wards, clear out their vision, and then you can repeat that 45 seconds before dragon, do it again. Or unless you want to hold river. And then it's like just repeating that one topic, that one process 50, 20 times, however many, until they get it. And then you go into whatever the next like biggest but also simple problem is.
Yeah.
But like a band-aid, a band-aid fix is probably not the correct term, but like yeah, just trying to get
Yeah,
something
like
like
let's
that.
say let's say they're weak around bot side.
Yeah,
Trying to contest against strong bot side teams for Dragon, probably not a good idea. You're not going to teach them how to be strong bot and get prio in a week. Maybe just show them that Rift Herald is super cool and pick a good top lane matchup.
Yeah,
And even if you lose first 2 dragons, well, if your top's got a 3k gold lead, welcome to 80 carry in 2020 or 2021, 2019, but just 80 carry at any point.
Welcome to top laners.
You get a lead and what's
Yeah.
that? That's an Irelia, that's a Yasuo, that's a insert anyone that's a juggernaut or a fighter.
Exactly.
That jungle, like not jungle, that 80 carry lead doesn't mean as much. And like losing 2 dragons is fine as long as you get enough gold on your solo champions that have the XP and the items to be able to contest 3 and 4, second Herald and Baron. It's a dangerous game because you could just give up 3 dragons and get sort of pushed out. But if you can't fight the dragons anyway, you might as well get something else.
Giving up dragon is an underused resource that buys time. Every dragon you give buys you 5 minutes of scaling. If you can fight this dragon now, but you've got a 90% chance to lose because you're underleveled, give it up, buy yourselves another 5 minutes of scaling. The question is, after that 5 minutes, when the next dragon or when soul point comes up, are you better off fighting then, or are you going to be even further behind and in a worse situation? That's the hard decision that needs to be made mid-game, and will vary every single time. It won't ever be the same. But if you know for a fact that you're playing like Cassidy and Jinx that only need 1,000 gold to get to their like power spikes or their level 16 or something, give the dragon. Buy yourself another 5 minutes. Get that power spike and then fight the next dragon, where you have a good and like plan for it. Try and work your way to get vision before it comes up, and then fight on your terms. Because the worst thing you can do is fight like when you're not on good items on the enemy's terms. That's like just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, look, when I think of Gogut though, like I think of like the global chaotic, aggressive compositions, and the Envy's playstyle at least is like a lot slower paced. So I don't know, like yeah, I just don't know how those two different styles will clash, or how much Envy knows about macro and stuff in general. Like he's played a few roles, so maybe he can help play specifically in those roles, but
Yeah, he might act more like a positional coach with like a bit more information on like champion building and per like champion matchups and how you should like play a little bit rather than like, you know, a macro coach and like a head coach decision making. Maybe that is what they're trying to do, which like again, we would know. But regardless, I don't think he can. I doubt it's going to make things worse. It could, but I doubt it will make things worse. Yeah. Go get the type of team to play like fucking Galio, Shen, and TP bot lane at like 6 minutes.
Yeah, probably.
They are
that's
that type of team.
that's kind of the vibe.
Double
They
down
play
on
like
that actually, just make him better at it.
like they play stuff like Shen support and things like
what
that.
legend.
Yeah. The Silver Forgers love to bring out the Shen by the looks of it.
Honestly,
Yeah,
just
they
go the
do.
full CLG style. Just send
Yeah,
it. Send it for
actually.
the boys.
Is the
Wait,
CLG
Click
style
by
telling
Galio?
them if they don't go more than if they don't go 3-0 they get benched?
Yeah, something
that-
like
is that
that.
Yeah, that's an envy move if I've seen one. It's just you
CLG
must
keeping
go
their
3-0.
like in-team top laner and replacing Pobelta. That was it.
Yeah.
Why the fuck is Finn still on the team? I don't know.
Poor Pop, man.
I
It
feel
is
bad for Pob, but I also feel bad for Demonte.
Yeah, I don't know. That entire video
That's,
thing was a
uh,
bit fucked. I
yeah.
actually forgot about that when I said that. But yeah, like CLG they like the same
The
sort of
Vi
style
Galio.
basically. Yeah, they
He's-
picked the Vi to
That
like.
was such a good team comp, and I wish better teams, like top tier teams, would still play it every now and again. I feel like top tier teams think they're too good for that and have to play complex team comps, like C9 playing fucking double 80 carry. And it's like, dude, just
play
don't.
easy stuff
something
at our
simple
level,
and
don't-
win, because you're not actually shitting on them well enough. And like a simple team comp can still beat a good team. Like when you go to Worlds or something, just like
In fact,
Yeah.
you've probably got a higher percentage. I think if you're up against a better team, keeping it simple is better. Having clear objectives, having champions that
Nothing
don't
from
have
Worlds,
high
yeah.
like skill ceilings is super important, because when the pressure's on, especially if you're like down a game, do you really want like players that aren't as strong on champions that are very easy to make mistakes on or very exploitable? The Quinn's an example, I guess, of a champion that has to get off the ground and do well.
Yeah.
You're making your life so much harder than it has to be. Pick something that's just going to scale, and then look, we're all like Div 3. Like, let's be real, we're all very, very capable of running it down. Every single
Yeah.
team can absolutely botch a game. Like, we've lost games where we're probably 6 or 7k up, and we've won games. In fact, probably most of our historical wins in the week-to-week tournaments, we were getting murdered by like 4 or 5k, and then we were just clutching out like late game team fights with our run at you comps, because we just played team fights all the time because we had no macro.
Yeah.
And that's what we were kind of known for, is just being this like sticky team that you couldn't put away, because we were just playing like team fight champions all the time.
That style's great though. Like it scares the shit out of teams.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
because you don't necessarily you don't need to be better. Like pound for pound, you do not need to have better players. Like when you need better players is when you want to play like 1-3-1, or you want to do something else like that. Because if you don't think you're gonna win, keep it simple, play together, and play around very obvious objectives. We're talking the Barons, the Dragons, and your early towers, and then the Rift Herald. Like, just keep it simple.
Simplify the game.
If you want to get really into it, like you can make fights over anything in the game, right? You're not stuck anywhere. Fights could break out 5v5 over wards, but maybe just don't worry about don't do the C9 blabber and throw the game over a single scuttle crab. Coin flipping is generally not advised, and I know that's a bit ironic coming from the Blackhawks, but it's something that we've worked through. The simpler you keep it, the better.
Coin flip or a weighted coin flip by dropping yourself a team fight comp and then just saying fuck it, we'll stall for 30 minutes and coin flip Elder. It's like, I mean, if you draft around that and you plan around it and you actually do it well, I think you've got a better than 50-50 chance.
Honestly, Elder just scares the shit out of me.
I don't advise it, but it's like, I don't think it's the worst thing you can do, actually.
Like, there are two feelings I have when Elder spawns when I'm ahead, and that is holy shit, I'm about to do a whole lot of damage and this is going to be super fun, or I'm about to throw the game so fucking hard that it hurts.
Oh yeah.
And it's just like you
Oh
put a
yeah.
team, even like let's say you're up a few thousand gold and you're chilling and the elder spawns and then dude throws something over the back and they steal elder. Like all of a sudden that game's on. Like
Yeah.
it's I don't know what you would call the elder in terms of gold value, but
They have a
in
minute
pure
and a half
stats,
where you have 20% less health.
yeah, it's
A
just
minute
not
and
a
a
good
half
time.
of you're at 80% effectiveness.
Push faster. Just like
Don't
gain
recall with
numbers
Elder, I
advantage.
swear to God.
Oh man, that's actually a
People who recall
big
with Elder
problem.
and then just take Baron and then recall with Baron and then do nothing.
Yeah,
is
you
so
only
bad.
go for Elder if you want to have Elder so you can get Baron, or you're going for a big push like straight away. I don't
Yeah.
care if like the AD carry is going to go from half an item to a final item. Like it's not
It's
a
not
big
gonna
enough
matter, you have Elder.
difference. It's such a short. You have no time.
Yeah.
And then I think you get what happens is you reset, you get stuck in this mentality of we have to use this for something. So
Yeah,
you
and then
push
you
for
make a
too
bad
long and then you
decision.
get gapped because even if you have Elder, if you're on the map for too long, you're out of abilities, you're out of mana, you've lost vision, or you haven't reset your vision when you've moved up. It's all at the Elder still, and then you just get gapped in a team fight and you wonder how it all went wrong.
Yeah.
So you're best to just only take it, or stop the enemy from taking it when you can actually do something proactive.
Yeah.
Or you're just
Yeah,
afraid
like-
of them having it, I guess.
Yeah, like this comes back to like focusing on your basics of like timers, right? Like
And then that's got to be the biggest
yes,
difference
we did
between
talk about Alpha.
the div teams in Div 3 is the elo wise. There's only a few like standout players that really like wreck the competition, and the rest of it just comes down to team play because it's the biggest gap when it comes down to it, I think.
Yeah, but like sorry, as I was saying, like just remember your timers. It's like Baron lost. I might embarrass myself really badly here. 2.5 minutes, and Elder lost 1.5 minutes. And then like there's not a lot of time. There's like half a flash cooldown. Like just remembering how long that actually lasts can help you, like especially if you're like defending against someone who has Elder and Baron. Like not only do they have like visual indicators, but like you can remember to like you can just remember. It's like, all right, cool, they have 30 seconds left. All we have to do is just 30 seconds, guys, and that might give you that more information of like, oh, we can give this inhibitor turret and inhibitor, and then we can just like, and then you might know the timer that, all right, it runs out now, and this is the point that you engage. This is the part where you fight. It's not too hard for that. Yeah, our thoughts on Zizzy vs Weekend Warriors, that you're solo queue terrorists and that you don't scrim enough, and you should scrim more.
Yeah, our thoughts on that. Yeah, we already touched on it, but yeah, as soon as you guys like actually like applied yourself, got fucking, what do you call it? Get back. As soon as you got get back, oh, fuck. Can't even say the name without laughing, but like as soon as you got him, like your power level is like over 9,000, right? So
Wouldn't have mattered these days.
Also, Blue got good 1v9 champs.
yeah, he did.
But yeah, Ziz have definitely been at like the top of the open division since they've been around.
Oh, for sure.
Definitely deserve to be in the finals. But yeah, I don't know how much I can like actually comment on Alpha Division.
Yeah.
I don't follow all that closely.
Yeah.
And I'm also a Pisslo player, so insult gang is censored. Fuck, man.
Yeah, they had to use iGang for like.
Is that for some
Their
sock?
circuit. I'm
Or
pretty
was
sure,
that BSV that did it? That would have been some sock,
I
right?
don't know. I mean, you got the player in the chat. He'll tell you in a second. Sure, he says BSV did it. It wouldn't put it past me if both of them did it. They were intel on some side. Yeah, I think I remember that.
But I swear there was Ziz before, like, this circuit.
No,
No?
it's the same dude. Well, I mean, maybe.
I guess BSV's just scared of the fucking, what do you call it? The Twitch ban?
Twitch, man. Yeah. What? Incel? Wait, is Incel not allowed on
Yeah.
Twitch?
It's not allowed on Twitch, but it's
It's not allowed as like an
it's
emo in like a
It's
derogatory
not
name.
allowed as like
yeah.
like
insult
an
or something.
insult term. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like I could say the words all I want, just like don't insult people using it. Like simple.
Well, I mean, you're also not supposed to say like retard, but like that's been
I-
said plenty
But
of
I
times.
mean, I also call people a cunt, and like
Yeah.
like I don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
Like,
but cunt's a compliment. That's different.
Yeah, Australians
Okay,
can't be
that's a
censored in
cultural
that regard.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah,
streaming.
you-
Our IP
you
is
have to say
Australian
this
based,
word.
so it's
yeah,
fine.
exactly right. But
American IP banned.
Yeah.
I did want to touch on just briefly, back to the envy thing is what I am worried about, and we did touch on it already briefly, but he has already gone in and started to make big waves. Like he told me tonight when we were playing Battlegrounds earlier, and he mentioned to me that he's already gone in and told their mid laner to change his champion pool.
Oh, okay.
And this is what worries me, is that he's going to go in too soon, too fucking gung ho.
Hmm.
When what you can do is you can just work with what champs they already play.
Yeah, why is
they
Envy
might-
telling people to change their chat pool? Man,
Doesn't
one
he
trick's
only play Galio?
Malzahar.
Malzahar,
Like,
one trick.
Malzahar Corky or some shit.
Yeah, dude.
Like,
but
I-
like,
I think Flake's chat pool is
Sorry,
fine.
Andrew.
Like, when I think of him, I immediately think Galio, right? But he also has, like, what, Syndra, Cassio, Ori,
no,
Silas?
exactly. Like champ pool, his
Those are,
champ
like,
pool is
staple
fine,
champions.
and whilst they might not be the strongest in the meta, he's comfortable on them.
Yeah. Meta
Like-
only matters so much at a certain point of the game.
Exactly right. Like
Pisslo plays for a reason.
exactly, like whenever like I'm not feeling comfortable, I'll just default onto like Scion or Kled, and I'm just
Oh,
happy.
yeah. Yeah. If I'm not comfortable, I'll pick Kai'Sa.
I
Always.
I think
even
it
if
goes
it's,
back
like,
to
a
what
good
we were
matchup.
talking about before, with, like, C9 trying to play all these,
Double
like,
AD carry and-
yeah, like different comps.
yeah.
I think like, especially in our elo, you just pick a comp, you pick a style, you perfect that style, and then you see like, if this champ's banned, what else can I substitute into this like comp?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like what other champions do similar stuff.
I mean, he already plays
Yeah.
the Galio. Like, see if their top laner maybe plays like a Camille or like Set or something like that. Like,
Or you could like do the other side. You could like see if he plays Shen or Gangplank.
and I'm sure he does play Shen. Like,
If
I
he
mean,
does,
I don't, but like, sure he does.
Shen's not the hardest champion to play as
No,
well. Like,
no,
he's one of my top lane champions. I'm an AD carry player. My hands are dead.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
fair.
Shen's good because like no one on your team is upset if your Shen player is down like
Oh
I don't know,
yeah.
30 CS and a couple of plates. If he comes
Yeah.
in clutch and gets your 80 carry off the ground in an important drag fight, so on and so forth.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
especially, I guess we're probably talking specifics here, but like if we want to go into the games we were talking about before for Div 3, like if the matchup like with TBH versus Gogurt, I think the top lane is probably their closest role where they can probably keep up. Like I know that most people didn't rate, like I think it's Casual is their top laner.
Yeah.
I've got him on my friends list and I've watched him play a fair bit and have played with him. Like we're not like super good friends or anything, but sort of like kept an eye on him as a competitor. And his champ pool is like super good, and he is like a fairly high rank in solo queue, and he definitely puts in the work. Whereas I don't know if you could really apply some of those generic things to the rest of their team. So, like
Yeah.
although Shen would be great, are they carrying through bot lane? I think for them specifically, if they want to play the global comp, like probably the Camille is a lot closer, and it's also a
Yeah,
shared champion with Willie. So I would expect, maybe Camille is a little bit higher prio than perhaps some of the other series is what we've seen.
And I mean, depending on what the AD carry plays as well, there are like Kai'Sa, you can dive with that global comp. Caitlyn, you can like pick the low health person who's away. Ezreal or Senna, you just throw your ults on top of it. Ash is like a long range engage, Jinx, Rocket. Like there's plenty of AD carries that can follow up in global-ish comps at certain ranges where you're comfortable at.
I think Ash is underrated if you don't know what you're doing. It's just
Oh yeah, Ash.
super easy champion. The jungle vision, like just like being able to spot camps. Like what we
Oh
usually do if we run Ash is we just give our jungler that button. Hey, do the red
Yeah.
camp for me. Hey, can you check Krugs? Because the jungler should
Yeah.
be tracking naturally, roughly where the enemy is. Use that suspicion to spot them. And like if you're the jungler getting seen by the Ash, like holy crap, does that feel not fun? I was going to gank top, but now it's, oh, do I do it anyway? Is there a mind game? Can I go when I've been seen? Just so many different things you can do with like easy champions. Again, 450 blue essence for Ash.
Yeah.
People will probably play, like I've probably played 100 games of Ash in the last 10 years of just being around, and I don't even play AD carry at all. Like I know her kit pretty well. So
Yeah, but like what is? Do you remember that meta when like
Ash Varus.
it was a bit
enough?
Ash Varus, but it was also like no, it was Caitlyn, Jhin, Ash. And the reason
like the casters matter. So like
it wasn't
crit
it
was
like
shit, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like a few months. It was okay, so it was like Lethality Jhin was popping off with Eclipse. He was like by far the best.
Oh, this was a long. Okay, I was thinking longer back.
No,
than
this
that.
is like Eclipse remake. I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I'm talking like before new items.
Oh,
Meta.
yeah, no, I'm not talking that. No, not that long ago. I mean, you can also go back to that. What the fuck did...
That's the Ash Varus meta that I was talking about.
I mean, whenever there are patterns that you should be able to start noticing if you have half a brain. Whenever a certain few AD carries come into meta due to buffs or whatever, there are like a set of AD carries that do similar things that will come with them consistently. Whenever Kai'Sa is in meta, I'll bet you money Zai is not far behind. Because they both feel that 525, 550 shredder, like shit ton of damage, like hard carry style. Whenever Caitlyn,
reposition as well.
yeah, like a bit of mobility. Whenever Caitlyn is in meta, Ash and Varus and Jhin won't be far behind because they can kind of match her in longer range. Whenever like Ezreal is in meta, Lethality Varus as well will be a thing, and champions that play well into him, such as Tristana and Vayne, who can either turret hump him or trade really well really early. Like there are these little things that like you'll start seeing pop up. But yeah, like sorry, my point was that like those champions that came into meta were meta because like the game was so jungle dominant at the time. Junglers were carrying every game on Olaf because you would get like higher level than the solo laners before jungle got nerfed. And you'd just play like Senna, Ashe, Caitlyn, Jhin, and you'd give your jungler assists and ult buttons, and you were their support for like a while. Like your jungler would go in, he'd 1v1 the enemy jungler at like Dragon, and you'd be Caitlyn, and you'd just press R to help him with some damage. And it's like these AD carries are totally like fine to play as well, especially if you have like a really good jungler that like wants to play topside and whatever. Just like pick a weak side chilling bot lane. Like Ezreal's good right now, Jin's not bad, and just like play to help people. It's okay to be like a supportive AD carry. And like this works really well on those global team comps I've found. And like then it's not hard to make. It comes back to like simplicity. These are simple team comps with many swappable pieces that all do generally the same thing. So it's almost impossible to ban it out. And if you're good at it and your team fits that playstyle, it's okay to have kind of like a one-trick team if you're winning.
Yeah.
Until you win 100% of games with no flaws, like you can't say it's bad to be a one-trick team comp.
It'd be interesting to see how it goes in a series, because like I think if we don't respect some of their strength, they're definitely able to take games. Like I don't think it's an automatic 2-0. I think we've got to make sure that we apply what we're trying to do while deflecting some of what they can do. But I also would back us in a series just because we can take all those champions that you've listed as strengths for them.
Yeah.
We can play all of that. We're happy to play pretty much anything. So if we think Nocturne's a problem with a comp, well, when we swap sides, we can flip it right back, and I think we're confident that pound for pound we will stack up across 3 games. I do think it could be 2-1. We definitely are prone to slipping every now and then, so they could get us one. But I think as the series progresses, I would expect us to do better and better because of how adaptive we can be in draft.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I love seeing two teams who play globals. Like that's probably the most fun League of Legends to watch. Personally, is just seeing like a bunch of like global team comps that just want to fucking fight.
Well, I mean, as a bot laner, I detest TP globals.
Okay, I agree.
TF,
I hate playing it.
Anything that even comes remotely past the river can just go fuck off. But apart from that,
I want my solo bot lane, please.
Yeah, I want to play Lane Kingdom, but you can't really play set and things like that are fun if you're just gonna get TP'd on every game, which is why solo queue is a bit scuffed.
Yeah, you can't just like be fighting at level 5 when you're top laner and they're top laner and both mid laners are just going TP in level 7. It's like, okay.
And your top laner is like, I'll just get a plate.
Yeah.
My lane's over. They've got dragon. Bot lane got 2 plates. And this guy's like, yeah, I pushed the lane out.
Yeah, I detest TPing early. I hate it. I don't do it.
So
shiny and fucking tears.
You think
No,
you
he
guys can
doesn't
scale
care, dude. He's happy. Shiny's happy.
What is the like? So I'm like, as I sort of said, I'm like fairly new. What is the team dynamic like for weekend? Like how when you're in comms and stuff, like it feels like your bot lane plays for the jungler, if that makes sense. Like I remember this one game we played against you early on when we were just like a baby team. And we were doing pretty well against your bot lane. I was feeling myself, and I was like, yeah, we're doing pretty good. And then I'm like, why are they picking Jinx here? Like, Jinx doesn't seem like the best pick. And you were playing Hecarim, Jep. And you did that gank where you pushed me into the Jinx traps with the Hecarim E. And I'm like, oh, that's why they're playing Jinx. Kind of like put together that they're willing to pick stuff that would work well, with stuff that you were good on at the time. So, like, do you guys often do stuff like that? Like your bottle pick for your other priority?
You're gonna be so disappointed with the answer.
Well, I mean that's like the idea of comps is like someone's picking for someone else, right? So it's not always bot playing for the team. It's sometimes us playing for bot or like us playing for top or whatever. Like our first game against Below Zero, I'm on the Zac and like Pixie's on Camille in the side lane. So our goal is to just get him ahead and let him
Gwen.
1v9, right?
You mean Gwen, but yeah.
Gwen. Wait, who did I say?
close enough.
Camille.
Yeah, but same
Same
champ.
champ,
sorry.
same champ. Both got scissors.
Snip, snip.
Yeah, whereas in game 3, Sparky's playing like Karma or whatever, and I'm playing Yi, and then I'm just like, Sparky, come to me, and then we go kill people in their jungle.
And Jep's the carry.
Do you find it easy to swap between like such a drastic play style change? Because there's some teams that just absolutely like cannot handle it. There are some where it's like so.
Our support 80 carry and I have played together for like 4 years or something. We're very used to playing with each other.
Yeah, it definitely comes across like I don't know how valuable this is to you, but like as someone who's like only played against you a couple of times, and like we haven't scrimmed much, but like my initial like assessment of your team, like I don't think Pixie was even playing in some of the early games where we first matched. I think it might have been limit testing, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's possible.
For a little bit. But
I
like
was down in Melbourne, yeah.
What came through to me with you guys is that like you just were able to play through bot, so I wasn't able to do what I would normally do. I felt like I had to like not only respect their 2v2, but also be aware that like they would just do something to get you 2 kills, and then you would take that somewhere else, or so on and so forth. So I think that's a really big strength that you obviously picked up over the years, is that you can be a little bit more dynamic. and like you don't always have to gank bot, but you can, and like Shiny can take over, or you can take that lead as you sort of said with the Yi and other picks.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
teams
leak
have
a-
definitely abused like how we play in the past. Like
Yeah.
not last circuit, but the circuit before when we had to verse Envy in the bot lane, and he was like playing Tristana Lulu under tower, so he can't do anything in that lane, and their top lane's just dominating ours. It's like really hard to play when you can't do anything on either side of the map.
I'm just gonna leak your thoughts real quick from Game 3. You guys were talking about organizing VOD review during draft. You just picked Yi without saying anything.
Yeah, bro, we played Yi in Flex Queue against Blackhawk the other day.
Yeah,
I was so fucking sad. I was winding down from a stressful day, and I think we just lost scrims, or I can't remember what the fuck we were doing, but we were just chilling. And then we see you, and we're like, oh god, he's on Yi. Oh, he's on a solo queue. We're playing against a team in a solo queue environment with a solo queue champion. Like Ash support. Oh my god. Anyway. You guys won the mental battle that day, but we'll see how it pans out if we make it to the finals.
It should definitely a close finals.
I do hope. Like I can't speak that we'll be there, but whoever makes it, I really do hope for this circuit that we do get a really solid finals where we get to see at least 4 games. I think if it's a 3-0, it'll be pretty disappointing because it's such a long tournament for what we're used to.
Yeah.
Having a good climax to that would be really good, and actually having 2 teams that can, go blow for blow in draft would be really good for other teams to see, rather than just like some of the coin flippy drafts we've seen in these best of 1 and best of 3 formats.
So am I hearing that if we get a weekend versus Blackhawk finals, that you guys are going to throw the 3-0?
I mean, we'd have to get a win first, wouldn't we? Like, I think based on scrim results so far, I would say that maybe you guys might have to throw a couple and we might catch up. But I don't know. I think our team's an interesting one because I think we're definitely really good, but we've really got to show up because the difference between our best and our worst, despite having a consistent roster, is quite large. So that's something we're working on at the moment, and as we touched on early in the podcast, sort of where we're at with our roster and what we're experimenting with. What you've run into recently is us trying a few different things and just sort of seeing what we come up with, because these multiple patches in one tournament, our best roster has changed, not just on availability but also on where the meta is and how much people are willing to play. So things to consider.
Yeah, well, I definitely think you guys have been showing up in tournament games. You beat us earlier in the circuit, and like, you guys have beat us in several of the weekly tournaments as well.
Yeah, I've yet to beat Sparky though. I think Sparky's 100% against us. So I think that's the kryptonite if you're looking for some inside.
All right.
I definitely rate Sparky, to be honest. I think he's the best person I've played against consistently. And like you've got other supports that are pretty good. They're probably like middle of the pack, but I think Sparky, and especially with Shiny, works really well. And like I cannot fuck around and like subpar lane or pick greedy champions into your bot, which is like something that's really cool because a lot of other bot lanes, I literally could pick anything. And I've played with Juice, Intori, Willie, and Brenny with this Blackhawks roster in the past 4 months. And I've probably bot gapped every single bot lane with multiple different AD carries except for Shiny and Sparky. So I think I'm enjoying the little rivalry there, and hopefully we do pick up a W at some point soon. And I show why I was on top of that tier list.
True. Look, I don't think Sparky might not be there for game 1, but he'll definitely appear at some time during the series.
Yeah,
that'll be the one game that you throw.
Could be.
If you beat us 3-0 without putting him in, I'm gonna riot. I want my chance. I want to shoot my shot.
If you guys lose 3-0, I'm gonna be fucking disappointed.
I think so too. Like I think anything other than like a 5-game series or a 3-0 for us would be a big disappointment. I either want to be up there and we'll be talking about these finals as something to remember, or bringing home the trophy. Those are the only options. Not here to get 3-0'd, so hopefully we can have a quick snack with Gogurt and then move on.
Have you guys got a plan going into game 1 for them?
We're definitely got to work ourselves out first. You always want to look forward to the next week and or the next tournament and what you want to play. But right now, there's a coin here that we're going to have to flip, and it's depending on whether you're a pessimist or an optimist. Will depend on if you like what I'm going to say. But we don't even know what the fuck we're doing, so how are they going to prepare for us is going to be really interesting. I'm looking forward to they've got us on their friends list. They could watch all our games. They can see what we're doing, and I'm really interested to see if they, what they throw at us in game 1, or if and how it adapts, because unfortunately GG just weren't able to do much in the best of 3 in terms of adapting. So I'm super keen for the the 5-head plays from them to see if they can push our weaknesses or do that sort of thing. So that's what I'm really keen for. But yeah, we'll have a plan by the time it comes around. I'll drag everyone by the scruff of the neck, and we'll get like an interactive whiteboard and some spreadsheets and stuff, and we'll do our thing, and we'll come up with something. Probably won't be the Teemo jungle, but we won't write it off for strategic purposes.
So I'm happy to trade the Teemo jungle with you guys in the finals. I think it'll be entertaining.
Wait, no, we do game 5 LCK blind pick.
Okay.
That's what we do for finals if it goes to game 5. That would be lit. But
I'm keen. I haven't got to play any fun jungle picks in the circuit so far, but I am a fan of the Teemo jungle.
Between me, you, the people in here, and the 11 people watching, you're not getting Kindred against us for the foreseeable future.
I just don't get Kindred at all, so I'm used to it by now.
Yeah, I think it's a safe one.
If he hasn't played Kindred...
I just look at my... Collat doesn't want to see me play Kindred anymore after our solo game.
Bro, you terrorist.
Yeah, but the one time we leave it open would be the one time we get wiped with it. So it's just how it works.
Jeff hasn't played Kindred properly. He's fucking dog shit at the champion, and there was proof of last night. But
yeah, was there a screenshot floating around I saw before where there was a score out of 15, a 0, and then a 5 in it somewhere? I think.
No, other way around. A 0, then the 15.
Where's that one?
If you want some real inside goss, he plays a lot of Trundle.
Oh, I mean, I think we've already been down that road, haven't you? I think you played it against us in week 4.
Yeah, probably. That's my coach's favorite champion, apparently.
So, actually, interesting question. I know we've been on here for a while, but I'm not really bored. But with you guys, so you've got a coach. We have people that assist with our picks and stuff, but ultimately I'm like the person who'll be like, hey guys, do you want to play this? And then they tell me, no, fuck you, I'm playing that. And then I'm like, okay. So we don't really have like a winner picks all kind of thing. There'll be suggestions, but ultimately the player in our team gets to decide. Unless we've got a really big goal we want to go for, then I might be like pressuring that sort of side. But what do you guys do in terms of picks? Like, does your coach actually get to tell you what to do, and you'll lock in Trundle if he thinks that's the win, or
within reason? I think so. The way we sort of run it is we have like we tell him like, these are our champs, right? These are our champs that we're good at. Blah blah blah. He goes through that. He goes, okay, these champs fit the identity. What do you feel like playing? And you go, so I feel like playing a Mordekaiser or a Set or whatever. And he goes, well, okay, cool, pick that. Pick whatever you want.
Okay, that might be the case for you, but like, how often do I get to pick my champ, bro?
I don't actually pay that much attention. I just ban what I'm told. I pick what I'm told to pick.
Yeah, I swear, that's all top laners. All the top laners I've played with, just like, turn their brain off for draft. Just do what they're told.
Look, dude, it's the only way.
Actually, so
I
true.
would get into games with Sefu, and he'd be like, "All right, so," and he's like, "So what am I playing?" And we're like, "We picked you Aurelia." He's like, "All right, cool." We're like, "Oh, we picked you Maokai." It's like, "Oh, cool, bioterrorism."
Yeah, Willie for us is the same. Like he's like in love with Riven and will play like Riven and solo queue, and he has a really good champ pool. But like in draft, he's like, "Okay, boys, what do you want me to play?" And we're like, oh, what do you want, man? Like, you want Riven into this matchup? Do you think it would be good here? And he's like, No,
Yeah, what do you need, man?
just give me a tank. Like, all right. But I just want it for the record. I'm not making you do this. You've done this to yourself.
I've
He's
done
like,
it. I've done
just
that a
doesn't
few
care.
times to the guys. They gone, what do you want to pick here? Like, you got counter pick. What do you want to pick? I'm like, I actually just don't know.
Just give me
Yeah.
one. I
Just
don't
pick. I'm just like, just pick me Scion.
It's like,
Like,
yo, we got you counter pick for you to fucking pick Scion. All right.
yeah, dude.
I've actually, we've had to have that draft chat before about who's getting counter pick, and it got to the point where like we were giving someone in our team counter pick, and every fucking time they would just pick the same champion, and I was like, okay, I don't think you understand how this works. Like, you meant to pick because enemy team pick things. That's what you're for. You're meant to pick what's rounding out the composition. Let's get something going that's going to help the rest of us. No, just pick me that champion I always play every time that we could have picked
Lethality
blind
Scion. Let's.
every time.
I can remember this one time we'd been scrimming with Burke, who was like our carry top lane for ages. You play like Aurelia, Camille, like all the classic carry top lanes. And we swapped in Sefu for one game because Burke had to bounce play Overwatch or some trash. And then we're just like going through our regular draft, pick like this very low damage, like Lissandra mid, Ashe 80 carry, like fucking Thresh support who's planning on building like Mobies, and like Trundle jungle, because it was like kind of tank meta at the time. And we're like, all right, yeah, so what are we picking for top? We got you counter pick, and he's like, oh yeah, Sion's good. And we're like, wait, you're meant to carry? Fuck. And he's just like, he only played Sion, Maokai, Ornn. And we're just like, oh shit. We just got our tank player, the carry role, and there's nothing. So he ended up just picking Lethality Sion, and we won. But
Yeah,
Yeah, Sion is a
Silly.
very useful champion. I hope we get to see it in the finals at some point as well.
They want to see my Scion. All right, I'll pull it
Fine.
out if I
Alright,
have
thank
to.
you, Pixie.
Oh god. Yeah, it's good to have. I think if we do make it to this hypothetical matchup, I do think draft will be a banger because we both probably have the deepest champion pools. Like, I didn't pay too much attention to the teams that ended up getting DQ'd anyway because I was kind of like pretty sus on them and kind of thought this would happen. But for the existing like people that are around, I do think we've got the biggest champ pools and the biggest flexibility. So I think it'll be really good to see if it does evolve over a couple of games, who's throwing punches and where.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, unlike DG, Kraken actually earned their first seed or whatever until they like subbed in the Smurf for the playoffs. But yeah, I don't know. I think the playoffs would have been a lot more interesting with them in there if they played genuinely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think you guys versus them would have been like the feature matchup
It
prior to finals.
would have been a hell of a lot harder than.
we were looking forward to it. Like,
Yeah, it would have been the right type of challenge. You wouldn't have been like worried or in the way of like thinking you couldn't do it, but you would have been like, yeah, we're on for some games. And after a circuit that's been pretty, top 3, top 4, and then just everyone else is dead weight, you would have been looking forward to that, I think.
Yeah, like I don't think anyone really came into the below 0 game expecting that we'd lose. But like,
I don't know. Strong.
Someone's channel points got fucked, I think, but that might be their own fault.
I was betting on below 0.
That was Jep on Monday, bro. He gave me like 50k channel points or some shit.
Yeah, because you bet against us, but yeah, I think like us against Kraken would have been a lot harder. Like us against you guys or Gogit will be a lot harder.
Yeah.
I definitely think Gogit's the dark horse, and they could do well. I think it just depends on what they can achieve. It's interesting saying that, considering I do think the bot gap is pretty big for both teams. I think they're going to struggle no matter who they end up against. I think that'll be a big problem, but they've definitely got some win cons elsewhere.
Before it ends, thanks for coming on, Collat and Hooyah.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
And
Yeah,
thanks
I'll
for
be
watching,
here,
guys.
man.
Really appreciate it. Hope you all have a good one, and we'll catch you later.